My name is Hilda Maya, and this is my poster board for my presentation, Diversity and Inclusion. So part of the assignment was to create a poster of what we can put in a classroom or in a hallway in a school. So my focus is a lot about including children with disabilities, including children of color. I think that children in particular, when they see how adults interact with either children of color or children with disability, they model that behavior. One fault that we have as adults is that we do not, as adults, see each other equally. And I think that's part of the problem. So I think if, as teachers, as adults that work in a school setting, it is important to model for our children what we want them to be as adults. So, for example, I included words like culture. I think a lot of it has to do with the different cultures that are in a school setting, depending on the community where we work. Another one is inclusion. But what I mean by this is because there's a lot of children who have disabilities who are not included in, like, for example, in a general education setting. So if we as educators, if we as adults include all children to be inclusive, then children will model that behavior and would include them in games, in classroom settings, inviting them over to, for example, a lunch table. Ethnicity. There's a lot of different ethnicities that we need to open our eyes to as adults, and if, like I said, children who we model for will do that eventually themselves. Respect as adults, that's a big problem that we have in our communities now, that children are seeing all these behaviors from adults, and they model that behavior, they copy that behavior, and that's how in turn we have all these issues in schools. Love. If we show our children love, children will follow that example. Equity. What I mean by equity is that we're all the same. We need to teach children that we're not more and they're not less. We're all the same. Another one I have is communication. One important thing is that when we're around children, especially in a school setting, that we communicate properly. And communication falls with respect. And finally, disability, which is my whole presentation. I included, for example, a little boy in a wheelchair who is pushed around by someone who is a different color race than him. That's included in games in school. Then I have all these kids in a classroom setting who have books. Then there's a little girl in a wheelchair. All those kids' eyes are not on this child who is in a wheelchair. They included her in just like anybody else. Here, there's a teacher here who's helping a child who has a severe seeing problem. So the child's in glasses, so it's like, I think she's like an occupational therapist. She's including her in how to help him use like a little toy tricycle. Then here we have a soldier who is part of showing us inclusion, that children can participate in like the Olympic Games. So this is what I would include in my school setting, in my classroom setting. I would focus a lot on inclusion, especially kids with disability. I thank you for listening to my presentation and have a good rest of your day.